So Augustus has emerged victorious out of the fall of the second triumvirate, Octavian. Now, Octavian and Augustus, I'm going to use those terms interchangeably here. They are the same exact person, okay? So just like P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, they're the same people. I'm obviously really cool because I know those two things so well that I just screwed that up. But they're the same person. So I'm going to go back and forth. It's just kind of something I do. So I apologize if you're confused, but you need not be confused. They are the exact same person. Now, you may have wondered before. This is a fun fact right here. October, when you think octopus, is 8. But if you're going to go and write October on your calendar, it's 10, right? It's the 10th month. December means 10, but December is actually the 12th month. So here's how it worked. Back in the day, the calendar had 10 different months. And there was 304 days, and then there were 61 days that were not named. And here's their names here. I'll let you read them. I won't bore you. And eventually, what happened later, a Roman ruler added January and February, and then the 2 months that were added to the middle were July and August, after Julius Caesar and Augustus. Hence the name, every one of these months, their numbers are thrown off by 2 months. There you go. Now, from last time, we talked about how the Republic disappeared and we transitioned to empire. The Senate, all these political systems had frankly been inefficient and ineffective for quite some time. The Senate was too large. Caesar had gone and expanded the membership of the Senate. All the people there were just basically Caesar's friends and eventually Octavian's friends. They weren't qualified. The economy was bad. The food supply was in jeopardy. The army's mad. And they go and they say, we need one person in control. And Octavian, despite his young age, he's very young, is going to be the person that's going to lead Rome and is going to be the first Roman emperor. So it was necessary to have a leader, even though he was a bit of a younger person, but he kind of had that reputation of being related to Caesar. So your math for the day, they are the same two things. Octavian, Augustus, they're the same. And the period here that we usually say is around 30 BC. So 27 is the beginning of the empire and the end of the republic. This transition is huge. You got to know what basically changed and the idea of the emperor coming and Augustus doing that. He basically went and pulled the move. No, you guys don't want me. But secretly he knew they did. And he said, I'll give up all my power. But then they offer him the title Augustus. And Augustus means the revered one, the loved one. So that's why Augustus Caesar, you may hear that, is the same guy, is Octavian. He claims to have restored the republic, but let's look at his actions, not his words. He didn't. And he also takes the titles princeps, where you get our title prince, the first citizen. He represents the old school, traditional Roman values. He goes and says, I'm not this liberal, hippie type Roman, if you want to think about it that way. He represents the traditional Roman values. What could he do? He could do pretty much anything. He could introduce laws that were immediately, approved by the Senate. The Senate did exist, but it was a rubber stamp type Senate. They could veto. In the event that there were any new senators, he appointed them. He assumed the title Pontifex Maximus, which is the head of the Roman religion. He had control of imperium over the army. In a sense, he didn't control all the offices. He more controlled powers. And when he went and controlled powers, he was able to go and do what he needed to do. The Senate became highly symbolic. Famous statue here is the Prima Porta. The Prima Porta is the name of the statue. You may notice something interesting going on here. There's a little dude hanging on to Augustus. This is Cupid, the god Cupid, who's related to Venus. He's riding on a dolphin. You can't see that there. The idea was that Augustus is actually really related to the gods. He's barefoot, which is common to see in a typical Greek or Roman god. And he's addressing, this is the holding the finger out there is the way a general would address the army. Famous statue. You can see it actually at Caesar's palace. They have a replica of it. I think everybody rubs his foot for good luck when they go play the slots. Probably doesn't work on most people, I would guess. Now, the idea that you have all these provinces that are kind of doing their own thing, there's no centralized command. And the reason why Augustus is so famous is he's able to turn something that's a potential problem into something that's actually an opportunity for unity, a solution. He creates the army, and he makes a very, very strong Roman army, putting them all around the empire. Their job is not to expand, their job is to maintain the borders. He cuts down the actual numbers of the army to cut down on costs, and then he keeps the elite Praetorian Guard. Those are the elite that will go guard outside the city of Rome. So the idea with the army is he goes and they're mainly to just go and maintain their borders. He has to convince the people that that's a good idea. Now he establishes Romanization, which is the spreading and extension of Roman culture all over the Roman Empire. You have to think Rome controlled areas that was not just the city of Rome. If you look at that last map, it's huge, right? So the army, by going and providing this garrison army, was able to go and extend Roman culture, Romanness, if you want to call it that. They would learn Latin. The roads would be built that would connect them. If you are a veteran of the army, you receive a land grant, and you could go out deeper into the empire. So Romanness extended beyond Rome itself. That's why Rome is so famous, because you didn't have to be in Rome to have a Roman building. You go to London. London was a Roman city. You don't think about that being Roman, but it was. He creates coinage. It has propaganda purposes, pictures of him on there. They also create the imperial cult, where people would go, and it's not really religious, but people would basically go into a room and, worship Augustus, essentially. It's kind of religious, but it's also kind of a political act, because it goes and unifies the empire into, who's Augustus, and we worship Augustus, and we're united under this traditional Roman values. The age of Augustus, like I said, was represented by traditional conservative Roman virtues. Adultery was bad. Homosexuality is banned. You can't do it. It's banned. Traditional marriage values. These traditional Roman values are what they like. He goes and supports the arts. It's the golden age of Latin literature. The Aeneid, written by Virgil, talks about Aeneas, who is a Trojan going over to Italy. Famously, he goes and builds up the city of Rome. He transforms it from a city of brick into a city of marble. One of the coolest things about Augustus is that he goes and ends the empire, or begins the idea of the empire of Pax Romana, which is a period of Roman peace and prosperity for nearly 200 years. And what this is the height of the Roman Empire. This is when everything's built. This is when culture flourishes. There's no internal revolts. There's no civil war. The amazing thing about Augustus is he holds everything together. After the period of those 2 civil wars that we just had, Augustus is able to go and make Rome, Rome. Some people say the Greeks were the great thinkers, but the Romans were the great doers. They did a lot of stuff. They built a lot of stuff. And this is due in no small part to the effect of Augustus.